Hello, my friends. In 1973, astrologer John Townley wrote a book on the composite chart where he introduced this new idea, which is that you take the sun of one person's chart and the sun of the other person's chart. For example, if one person has the sun at, say, 15 degrees Gemini, and the other person has the sun at 15 degrees Leo, halfway in between 15 Gemini and 15 Leo is 15 degrees Cancer, and that is the composite sun. This midpoint, it's like you're taking the two charts and averaging them or compressing them into this new chart. It was a fascinating idea, kind of clever, that you get this third chart born out of two charts. It got to be quite popular. People found that it works. And in the last 10 to 15 years, the vibrational astrology community has done a lot of research on the composite chart where we go through a database and see what people have in common, specifically people who are married. There's this huge database of over 20,000 married couples with a recorded time of birth. What brings these people together? Why are they getting married? What's going on? And what we found is that the composite chart is like crazy strong. Who would have thought, right? I mean, the composite chart, this third chart created out of two individual charts, how could that be stronger than the synastry where you combine them? But the research shows that this is the case. The composite chart is very strong. And now I'm going to present to you another series of videos on more evidence. The more we research what's going on with compatibility, going through databases and then applying it to our clients, the more and more we're realizing the composite chart is crazy strong. And there's a theory for why it's strong. In addition to observing that it's strong, we have some ideas on why it's strong. The composite chart is really not just this third chart. It's showing resonances between the charts. Okay, so let me show you this latest work we've done with the composite chart, confirming, oh my God, this composite chart is really strong. Kind of surprising, actually. I didn't expect it. So the research that I'm referring to was presented at the 2022 Vibrational Astrology Conference. You know, every year there's a conference in the first week of March in Gainesville, Florida, the Vibrational Astrology Conference. And in 2022, I presented the results of this research on 20,916 married couples. I was fascinated, by this research. I was very excited to do it, to see what is going on between these married couples that's drawing them together to get married. Would it be zodiac sign compatibility? Like if his sun, moon, and ascendant are in fire signs, would the husband and wife, have the same element? Like both have fire signs. I really expected to find that. I searched like crazy. I could not confirm it. What about conjunctions, trines, sextiles between the charts? So what we found is that the composite chart dominated. We see very clear and consistent things in the composite chart. And what I'm going to show you in this video, and this will probably be a series of videos, I've got a lot to say about this composite chart, more evidence that the composite chart is extremely strong. I know that that's surprising. It's surprising to me. But now we've also gotten some ideas, some theoretical reasons for why this is true. Very interesting that the composite chart, this idea that came out in 1973 in very modern times as a kind of clever and cute thing. Oh, we take the suns and we compress them, and the moons and compress them in order to get the midpoint. Wow, this thing is really, really important. And so in the research on the database, we found that the composite chart is important, and now we're applying those ideas with clients, and it's confirming it. And I'm going to show you one example of two people where we see how the composite chart shows what's going on. And we're going to combine our understanding of the composite chart that we got from the database research with the other techniques we use for compatibility and this kind of synthesis of ideas, bringing us to an even better way to analyze compatibility. So as you know, vibrational astrology is a evidence-based system, constantly evolving, constantly improving, and this is the latest improvement in our understanding of how to see compatibility. So, work with clients confirms the importance of the composite chart. Synastry, by synastry I mean overlaying two charts and seeing the aspects between them, and we will be looking at synastry as well in this series of videos on the composite chart. Synastry is also important, but work with clients suggests that we have been relying too much on synastry, and we are overlooking the importance of the composite chart. That's the bottom line. The research on the databases show that the composite chart is strongest, but even though we got those research results, we haven't been consistently using the composite chart, emphasizing the importance of it. According to theory, we should. Now we're starting to do it, and it works. It's all fitting together. The research on the databases and applying it to clients, all confirming the importance of the composite chart. And we're going to see examples of this. Now, in that research presented at the Vibrational Astrology Conference, we found certain vibrations are important. 55 vibration, which is 11 times 5, creates this bouncy, optimistic flow of energy. 13 vibration, feeling that that person is special for each other. The two people are special. 7 vibration, deep interconnected connection. Sun, moon, the two lights, setting fundamental importance. And we found that Venus, Uranus showing up in marriage compatibility. That excitement, the electricity, the enthusiasm, the feeling of falling in love, very important, shows up in several ways, hard aspects between the charts, and showing up in particular vibrations. So these are some of the things that we found in the research. And here, this big, long, complicated thing you're looking at, this is the actual astro signature. This is when you go into the Sirius software and you create the astro signature, you can look at it. And what I want to point out here is the yellow highlight, the composite sun, moon, Venus, Uranus, Venus, Neptune in these 55 vibrations and overtones of 55. The sun, moon, Venus, Saturn, Venus, Saturn, and Venus, Uranus in the composite, Venus, Neptune in the composite, Venus, Mars in the composite. You see the composite chart repeated over and over and over again, and a little bit of synastry in the draconic chart. So almost everything that we found that drew these people together to get married was in the composite chart. Crazy. You didn't expect the composite chart to be that dominant, but it is. Now, we're going to take the results of that research, which show that the composite chart is powerful, and we're going to combine that fact or that observation with what we've been doing very effectively with clients, which is primarily what I am doing in compatibility. Let me go back to this slide here. I am not automatically jumping to 55 vibe. So suppose you have a romantic couple. They say, tell us about our compatibility. What do? Even though the research says, look at 55, look at 13, look at 7, I do not go directly just to those. I keep those in mind. If those vibrations show up, I know they're particularly important, but I do something else, which is I find what I'm now calling the Venusian vibrations or the Venus vibes. I look for the Venus vibes. What is a Venus vibe? It's simply a vibration where Venus is strong. How does the planet get strong? It makes a lot of aspects with small orbs. So it's very simple. What we do, we look at person A, let's call it A and B. We look at person A's chart, we look at the 8, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 17, and we just see, is Venus doing a lot? And especially, is Venus aspecting Uranus? That's what we saw in the research, Venus-Uranus. Venus-Neptune. If you look at this details, it shows here Venus-Saturn, Venus-Uranus. Here's another Venus-Saturn. Up here, Venus-Neptune. So and here's Venus-Mars. So Venus-Uranus and Venus-Mars, extremely important. And also Venus to Neptune, Venus to Sun, and other planets. Just see if Venus is making a lot of aspects with small orbs. If it is, that's the vibration your Venus is on. Venus is the attraction. If you're not attracted to the person, if you're not wanting to be close to them, if you're not drawn to them, why are you marrying them? Maybe they should just be friends. Venus is one, not the only important component in a romantic or marriage relationship, but Venus is necessary. If Venus is not strong in the romantic relationship, probability is that spark of romance probably will not last. I would say pretty definitely won't last. You need the attractive power of Venus. That's how the vast majority of romantic relationships work. Now, people can get married for all kinds of reasons and have different priorities, and maybe romance and attraction is not important, but for most people it is. And Venus becomes critically important. So, here is the list of planets. We want to see, is Venus aspected to Uranus? Is it aspected to Mars, Pluto, Neptune, Sun, Saturn, Moon, Jupiter, Mercury? That's the order, the priority. Uranus, Mars, those two very, very powerful. Venus, Pluto, Venus, Neptune, Venus, Sun, very strong. Venus, Saturn is good. It leads to a kind of sincerity, kind of cutting beneath the surface to really connect. And Venus to Moon gives a soulful feeling. Venus to Jupiter, a joyous, large feeling. Venus to Mercury, the ability to share, communicate, and kind of just get on the same wavelength with each other. So, here's what we have been doing. And in this series of videos, we're going to modify the procedure. What we've been doing is looking at the individual charts, see where Venus is strong, then create a bi-wheel of that vibration. If vibration 7, 13, or 55 shows up, we know, well, we don't know, we have high confidence that that's going to be particularly important. Some vibrations are more relevant, they have more impact on a romantic relationship than other vibrations. So for example, 7, 13, and 55 strongly incline to support the romantic connection. 7 because it's deep, it's like a soul connection, quiet, deep, you might even say profound. 13 inclines the people to feel like they were made for each other, they're special for each other, that each other is special. And 55, the combination of 11 and 5, gives this great buoyant enthusiasm and joy. Okay, this is all going to become clear because I'm going to show you examples of this. We're going to see all this worked out with actual charts. Okay, so what I'm suggesting is, first section here with an asterisk. The research showed that the composite chart is more important than synastry aspects. I'm just summarizing. That's what the research showed. Again, synastry aspects means aspects between the charts. But, second point here with an asterisk, in our compatibility analysis of couples, we are looking at synastry aspects, where we see where these aspects occur. we look for the Venusian vibrations, the Venus vibes. Where are the Venus vibes? Where is Venus aspecting a lot of planets with small orbs? Here's what I'm introducing in this series of videos, the bottom paragraph. The bottom line is, to be consistent with the research findings, rather than to contradict them, because we've been contradicting the research findings, to be consistent with them, it makes sense to also look at the composite chart of the Venusian vibes. So, very simple. Step number 1, see what the Venus vibe is. What are the Venus vibes for each person? Step number 2, see if there is synastry on those vibes. And now we're introducing step number 3, look at the composite chart of the Venus vibrations. That's the big step. And this third step of looking at the composite chart of the Venus vibrations, extremely important. We have been missing essential, important information about the compatibility because we have not been looking at the composite chart of the Venus vibes. All right. If you got a little bit lost, no worries. I'm going to start showing you the charts and it will make it all clear. And to repeat what we have in bold here, if we do not look at the Venus vibes of the composite chart, then we overlook some of the most important connections between the romantic relationships and the married couples. Now let me say one more thing before I start showing you the charts. We need to validate these ideas by going through the database, but we do not have the research features yet in the Sirius software or any other software to do it. What we're planning to do is to add a feature to the Sirius software to find the Venus vibes. Right now, the software cannot find them. We can program the computer to find the Venus vibes, and then we can go through the 20,000 married couples, have the software find the Venus vibes, and then see what connections there are between the charts on the Venus vibes, the synastry and the composite. Those are the two big things. For a couple that has a probability of a long-lasting, strong romantic connection, the people will be connected through the synastry aspects and the composite chart on the Venus vibes. Got it? It's that simple. Find the Venus vibes, see if there's synastry on the Venus vibes, see if there's composite connections on the Venus vibes. That's it. If there is, the romantic attraction is very high. If there isn't, it's going to be lower. So because we cannot go through the database right now, have the software find the Venus vibes, and then do the synastry and the composite based on the Venus vibes, see how often those occur with the actual married couples and the control group, and then tell us how big the difference is. Right now we have to use the theory and our personal observations, and at some point in the future when we get that programmed, we can run it through the database and confirm it there as well. Okay, now here we go. Now it's going to start to get concrete. Again, if you didn't quite follow everything I said, no worries, it's going to come together now. Step number 1, what is the Venus vibe? So I've got two people here, and I'm going to show you a Venus vibe for one of the people. These are two people who are romantically connected. Let's look at the Venus vibe of one of the people. It's the 35 vibe. Here's the 35 vibe for this person. Just the 35 vibration chart. And I'm calling the 35 vibration chart for this person a Venus vibe. It's a Venus vibe, meaning that Venus is strong in this vibration. Why is Venus strong in this vibration? Because it's conjunct the moon with under a 3-degree orb. It's conjunct Pluto with about a 3-degree orb. It's conjunct Mars with a 4-degree orb. And it's conjunct the Sun with a 9-degree orb. And we allow a 16-degree orb up to about 8 to 9 degrees is there. So Venus is strongly conjunct Moon, Pluto, Mars, weakly conjunct the Sun. That is one strong Venus. This is a Venus vibe. So you've got the Venus Pluto and the Venus Mars. Remember, our priority is Venus Uranus, Venus Mars. Let's go back at that priority list. Venus to Uranus or Mars, very strong. Pluto almost just as strong. Pluto and Neptune. Sun, Saturn, Moon, also important. Less important are Jupiter and Mercury. You don't have to memorize this order. You just begin to know that Venus to an outer planet, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, or to Mars, is strong. You can just remember that. Venus to one of the 3 outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, or to Mars. Very, very strong. Very inclined to increase the probability of that romantic attraction. And then also to Sun or Saturn, and then Moon, Jupiter, Mercury. Okay, so this 35 vibe for this particular person, extremely strong. And in the 35 vibe, Venus is trine Uranus, along with Moon, Pluto, and Mars, all trine Uranus. So Venus is conjunct Mars and trine Uranus. So this 35 vibe chart is a super Venus vibe. That's simple. Venus is making a lot of aspects with very small orbs. Look how thick these trine lines are, very tight trines. We can tell because the lines are thick. This is a huge Venus vibe. Now, is 35 vibe relevant to romance? Well, as I have here on the slide, 35 vibe combines the fundamental qualities of 5 and 7. We know that 7 vibe shows up in compatibility. Our research on the married couples, 20,000 married couples, confirmed that. So 7 vibe, from our research, we know relates to getting married. Theoretically, would 5 times 7 be relevant to romance and marriage? Theoretically, absolutely yes. Because one of the problems with 7 vibe is it's deep, it's profound, that people feel this soulmate connection, but it's not very exciting. It's not a lot of fun. It's just this quiet, deep, soulful connection. 5 times 7 is this feeling that when you're quiet together, you have this soul connection. You just kind of understand each other intuitively at some deep level. It's fun. 5 times 7 shows up in the greatest athletes. People having fun, exploring with focus. That focused attention is fun. 35 is like a board game, like you're playing chess or checkers or Monopoly or bridge or any other card game. There's a ritual. There's steps. People are quiet. They're focused. They're playing Scrabble. They're thinking, oh, what word? Or they're playing, poker, and you're looking at your hand. You're focused. You're quiet, and in that quiet, something fun. You don't know exactly what cards you will get. There's the surprise element. There's the exploring. Every time you play, the game is new. You don't know what will happen. That's 5. 5 and 7 work beautifully together in 35. These vibrations we call second order vibrations, where you take 2 prime numbers and you multiply them together. In some ways, they're more powerful than the primes. because the prime numbers like 5 and 7 have a very general influence, an overall impact on so many things. When you combine two of them together, it gets very specific and clear. 35 is the vibration of being quiet, being attentive, and finding something to explore, something curious, something that flows organically. This is what happens in games, in sports, in so many areas of life. Anytime you're engaged, and the engagement increases your enthusiasm, your curiosity, the fun. Because if you're not engaged, you can't follow it. You're not part of it. You're playing music. If you practice and then you can get into the flow. Same thing with sports. Getting into the flow, the fun, the surprises, the curious things that can happen by being able to be disciplined and focused enough to engage in it. So 35 theoretically might be even more prone to increased romantic connection than just 7, because it makes it more buoyant, more lively, more curious. It makes it younger, more youthful, more flowing. So we want the romantic partner to connect with us. And what we've been doing in the past is we've been looking at the bi-wheel. We are still going to look at the bi-wheel. What we did not do in the past was also look at the composite. That's the big new step. Always look at the composite of that vibration as well. In other words, you're going to look at the 35 vibration of the composite chart. Very important. So that's the new idea. That was the missing ingredient. Let me say it again. Let's go through the whole process. Very simple. Find the Venus vibe. What is the Venus vibe? You find a vibration where Venus is aspecting a lot of planets with small orbs, especially Uranus, Mars, then also Pluto, Neptune, then also Sun, Saturn, and Moon, and lastly Jupiter and Mercury are the least important, but they can help as well. Venus aspecting anything increases Venus's involvement, engagement. Here we have 35 vibration. Is it the strongest Venus vibe for this individual? As I went through and I looked at the basic vibrations, and there's another little trick. We go to the aspect grid in the Sirius software and you find vibrations. I'll show you that later in a later video in this series, how you find the Venus vibe. I'll show you how to find it. But for now, I found this 35, there it is. And I'll show you how I found it later. Okay, now we want the romantic partner to activate this. So, here is the bi-wheel. In the inner ring is the 35 vibe of this person. There it is, what we were just looking at. All those planets conjunct, and there's Uranus, the trine. On the outer ring is a romantic partner, romantic friend. And does that romantic friend activate these positions? We're looking at planets at around 9 degrees. Between 7 and 11, about 9 degrees. And we go around the outer ring. There's Neptune at 8 degrees. But semi-sextile and quincunx, not very powerful. Here's something at 12, that's not very close. 5 degrees, not very close. There's very little activation. What does that mean? It indicates that the romantic connection may not be long-lasting. Bad news. If this romantic couple is hoping, like if they're hoping that this is going to continue, we look at this and we say, well, no, it doesn't look very good. We're looking at the strongest Venus vibe for one of the people, and the other person does not connect with it. And again, however, The findings from the database research indicate that the composite chart is more powerful than the synastry. So why are we only doing the synastry? Duh, we should be looking at the composite chart. So it's like 2 plus 2 equals 4. This method works well, but the composite chart is more important. So let's look at the composite chart. And when we do, we see this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm at a half hour here. I like to not go over about 30 minutes. In part 2, we're going to look at this 35 vibration of the composite chart. So in the software, you select composite chart, then you select 35 vibe of the composite chart. And we're going to see something very strong. We're going to have to actually go through a few steps in applying these ideas from the research to use with clients. We're noticing a lot of details, a lot of things to improve it. So the combination of using database research and working with clients is synergistic. They're both very, very important. Okay, in part 2, I'm going to show you that the 35 vibe composite actually overtones of 35 vibe. We'll get to it. Things related to 35 vibe and the composite show the connection for why this romantic attraction is there. Okay, so I'll see you in part 2 in this series of videos. Thank you very much for being a member. I very much appreciate it. We'll be back with part 2 and start seeing the details of this. Thank you very much. God bless. Namaste.